Fellow Americans and peace-loving people all over the world. During the past 2 weeks, you've heard about the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia over the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, which the Armenians call Artsakh. Unfortunately, most of the international news outlets have been reporting the blatant lies and the distortions of historical facts that are being spread by Azerbaijan and Turkey. For this reason, I felt compelled to set the record straight. This dispute started in 1920, when the Soviet dictator Stalin sliced two provinces from Armenia and placed them under the administration of Azerbaijan in order to entice Turkey to join the Soviet orbit. These two provinces are Artsakh and Nakhchivan. The latter has no common borders with Azerbaijan. To sweeten the bitter pill for the Armenian population, the Soviet dictator Stalin designated these two provinces as autonomous territories within Azerbaijan, which was a joke because under Soviet rule, no Soviet republic was autonomous. To assert that Karabakh belongs to Azerbaijan is to legitimize Stalin's unjust and illegal action. I want to call your attention to two incidents that happened in the not distant past that prove the legitimacy and the fairness of the Armenian cause. In 1974, the Greeks of Cyprus voted overwhelmingly to join Greece. The Turks, who constituted 12% of the island's population, voiced their opposition and demanded self-rule. In August of 1974, the Turkish army invaded Cyprus, conquered 1/3 of the island, where the Turks established an independent republic after driving out 150,000 Greek Cypriots from their homes. If the Turkish Cypriot minority was entitled to self-rule, then by the same principle, the Armenian majority of Artsakh, who constitute 90% of the population, are entitled to be independent from Azerbaijan. The second incident happened in 1998, when the Muslim Albanians of Kosovo wanted to secede from Serbia and establish their own independent state. The Muslim Albanians were the majority of the population in Kosovo. However, Kosovo had always been an integral part of Serbia. Actually, Kosovo is the cultural and spiritual heart of Serbia, as the most ancient and most important Serbian monasteries are found in Kosovo. In 1999, NATO intervened and carried out airstrikes against Serbia to force its government to allow the Muslim Albanians to secede from Serbia and be independent. It's important to note that Turkey at that time supported the Muslim Albanians' right to self-rule. But today Turkey vehemently opposes extending the same right to the Armenians of Artsakh. This is a classic example of Turkish injustice and hypocrisy. Unfortunately, NATO is now upholding the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan and denying the Armenians of Karabakh their right to self-determination. This is not only an unjust double standard that's being applied against the Armenians, but it also represents the height of hypocrisy. In Kosovo's case, the territorial integrity of Serbia was completely disregarded and ignored, while the Muslim Albanians' right to self-determination was upheld. For the sake of justice, the Armenians now demand that NATO extend to the Armenians of Artsakh the same right that they granted to the Muslim Albanians of Kosovo. The two cases are identical, and to be fair, must be treated in the same way. It's also important to note that Artsakh had been inhabited by Armenians for 3,000 years. The Armenians in Artsakh are living on their ancestral lands and are not foreign occupiers. They deserve to have the right to self-determination. Turkey has consistently refused to withdraw its occupation army from northern Cyprus, but is insisting that Armenian defense forces leave Artsakh. What kind of twisted logic is this? The Turks justify their continued occupation of northern Cyprus, but want to deprive the Armenians of Artsakh from exercising their legitimate right to live in freedom and peace on their ancestral lands. The Armenians will never consent to live under Azerbaijan's dictatorial and racist rule because they remember what happened to their kinsmen in the Azerbaijani city of Sumgait in February of 1988. Azerbaijani mobs armed with axes attacked Armenians in their homes, murdered 700 innocent civilians in one day, raped the women and burned them alive in the streets. Who can forget such savage behavior? Unfortunately, the same atrocities were inflicted on the Armenians one more time in 1990, this time in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. Consequently, 250,000 Armenians who lived in Azerbaijan had to flee for their lives, leaving behind their houses and all their personal belongings. The same scenario would be repeated if the Azerbaijani and Turkish armies and their Syrian jihadist mercenaries gained the upper hand in the war that they started on September 27. Prevent the occurrence of a second Turkish-sponsored genocide of Armenians. Support the just cause of Armenians who want to defend their ancestral lands that had been unjustly stolen from them in 1920 and which they regained in 1994 through the sacrifice of 6,000 brave Armenian freedom fighters. I appeal to you to support equal justice, not selective justice, which is nothing more than total injustice. Do not remain silent while the Armenians are being victimized one more time by the Turks, who 105 years ago annexed Western Armenia to Turkey after ethnically cleansing it of its indigenous Armenian population by mass killings and ruthless deportations. Please urge your congressmen and senators to take decisive action in support of truth and justice.